Thank you, Lescon Caller, and I formally move this bill. And I'd like to speak now and start off this debate by first of all thanking Breen O'Donnell and Mairead Maloney McGrath in Deputy McGrath's office for the excellent work and research that went in to help us all in the Rural Independent Group in bringing this bill before the House. So first of all, the purpose of this bill is to reform the planning rules to make it easier for people to build homes on their own land. It aims to address the significant influence that An Taisce, the National Trust for Ireland, has as a prescribed authority under the Planning and Development Acts. An Taisce has been using its privileged position to object to numerous planning applications, which has been seen as a hindrance to local development and employment projects. The Planning and Development Act, An Taisce Bill 2024, is based on widespread concerns about the objections and legal challenges raised by An Taisce to various planning applications across the country. These objections cover a broad spectrum across our society, including rural housing, agricultural improvements, infrastructural projects and initiatives aimed at creating regional jobs. There is a belief that An Taisce is exploiting its status under the Planning Acts to obstruct regional and rural economic development. The organisation is also accused of taking an overly rigid approach to environmental and emission targets, which is seen as harmful to the Irish agricultural sector. A notable example is the Supreme Court case of An Taisce, the National Trust for Ireland versus An Bord Pleanála and others. In this case, An Taisce's repeated objections to the construction of a cheese plant in County Kilkenny were ultimately dismissed, thanks be to God. But not before delaying job creation by several years. This case has heightened the concerns about An Taisce's motives. While this bill aims to remove An Taisce's privileged status as a prescribed body, it would still allow the organisation to make planning objections, as is their right. However, it would strip away the privileged status that they currently enjoy and, in our view, have abused. This change is crucial to ensure a fairer and more balanced planning process, free from the disproportionate influence of a single organisation. It's time to level the playing field and ensure that local development is not unduly hindered by a Dublin-based entity wielding excessive powers. There is one group of people that I want to talk about here today when it comes to planning. And they're terrible, terrible important people to me and to the other people here in the Rural Independent Group. And I'll tell you who they are. They're county councillors. They're men and women that go out in their localities and in their regions, and they get elected to the local authority. They work very, very diligently from parties and from none. And what they do is they formulate a thing called their county development plan. It is theirs. They work very hard to produce that document. They work with the senior personnel in the planning department and they bring together a document. But we then, unfortunately, and we've seen this over the years, we've seen people become members of An Taisce and they do so for an ulterior motive. And I'm not going to dismiss, Lescon Caller, the good work that An Taisce do. And we must remember, why was An Taisce founded in the first instances? It was founded for very, very good reasons. It was to protect national monuments, it was to protect our heritage, and it was to do sensible things. To this day, they do great work and projects in our schools. Nobody can condemn that. But whatever is in them, they're entitled to attract cranks, crackpots, and serial objectors. Now, Lescon Caller, you know that I'd be very kind about everything that I'd say inside in this house, because I know that it is one of the privileges that we have a privilege. There are people who are serial objectors, and I will give you an example of what not normal behaviour is. In the county that I represent, and I could name them here this morning, but I won't. But they know who they are. They know that I know who they are. And they know that I know what they have been doing for many, many years. Now, the majority of normal people go through life without putting in one objection to one person about any project. But I know people who at any given time could have 10, 15, 20, 25 objections rolling at any given time. And they could be living in one part of Kerry, but they'd be objecting to different housing projects. And whatever type of a kink or a perversiveness is in their personalities, it seems to be young boys and girls who are setting out in life, who want to build a family home on a family farm. It seems to be those people that they have gone after. Now, and I'm very sorry to say this, Lescon Kohler, but some of them that were doing it, they're not able to do it anymore. And for that fact, I am not sorry. And I mean it, I'm not sorry. Because they hurt young couples that I personally knew, and that all they wanted to do was build a family home. But these cranks and crackpots objected to them for no reason in the world. In many instances, they were 50, 70, 100 miles away from where this boy or girl wanted to build on land that was owned by their fathers, their mothers, and their grandparents. And then you had some person coming along and wanting to object to that, and using the umbrella of An Taisce and the fact that they were a prescribed body, using them as their cover, or they were doing so on environmental grounds. They were not. They were doing it because there was something wrong with their own personalities. Now, thankfully, there are some of them that are still there, but different issues are getting the better of them at this stage, and they're not as active as they were. But at any given time, and especially when I was a young county councillor, starting off working in the Killarglen electoral area, my God, to see one individual persons and they're having over 20 objections rolling at any given time, that's not normal behaviour. That's not what An Taisce was supposed to be about. And then, of course, if you combine that with what was happening with An Bord Pleanála, so we could have a very diligent planner who would give planning in County Kerry for the young couple to build their house. The person in An Taisce would come along and appeal that and take it to Bord Pleanála. We then had situations where an inspector might come down from Bord Pleanála and agree that the young person should have their house. But then, lo and behold, it would come back up. We'd have a couple of ex-members of An Taisce who were getting 75,000 a year for a part-time job with An Bord Pleanála to come in the evening and look at a few reports. That's what it is. Anybody that thinks, oh, I'm a person in An Bord Pleanála, I'm very diligent, I go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, I stay there till 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, rubbish. They come in the evening, they look at a couple of files, they call it a meeting. A meeting is 2 or 3 people, and you could have an inspector's report saying yes, this planning should be granted. That inspector could be after going and looking at the development, the proposed development, and all of a sudden then the other 2 people might be ex-card carrying members of An Taisce. Because one bit of information for you, you can be a member of An Bord Pleanála, but you have to resign your membership of An Taisce before you do. And I'd like to see the statistics of how many people left An Taisce and went working for Bord Pleanála with their part-time job and their 70 or 75,000 a year plus expenses. And thankfully, Bord Pleanála and a lot of their activities has been exposed. It's been exposed in the media reports. It's been exposed in the courts. And people have seen that Bord Pleanála and An Taisce are not this God-given thing that's so ethically correct, because they're not ethically correct. And they've been proven to not be ethically correct. And the people in An Taisce, and I don't like, you can never ever paint everybody with the same brush. And yes, there are people in An Taisce for the right reasons. But my God, there was a lot of them, and they were there for the wrong reasons. They were there on a power trip. They were there for their cosy little meetings that they'd had at night around County Kerry and around the rest of the country, wondering, who will we hurt next? Who will we go after? What factory will we stop? What shed will we stop? What farmer will we obstruct? What development will we, like in the case of the cheese factory? My goodness, All everybody is trying to do in life is live and get on. These people, for far too long, have had far too much power, and it's about time. And I thank my colleagues and Deputy Matthew McGrath for bringing this bill here today, because all we're trying to do is put a wrong right.
This debate so far, and I'm a little worried about what's happening here in terms of identifying people, making allegations, albeit it's an organisation. But clearly the words are getting closer and closer to identifying people, making allegations that they're not ethically correct. I've stopped the clock for a moment. No, I know it's not a debate.
No.
It's not. Please resume your seat.
No, I won't.
Please resume.
Because I purposely
Please resume your seat. If you don't, I'm going to.
You're not going to do it to me. You're not.
Chair, will you respect the chair?
No, did I answer you? Last time,
Deputy, I'm asking you to resume your seat till I finish what
I name anybody?
Can you sit down, please? Thank you. Now, I have given great leniency so far, and it's important that there's robust discussion. I'm simply cautioning you. That's what I'm doing. I'm cautioning all of you, and including myself in this debate in relation to this matter. Now, the next, there's no.
I appreciate your caution. Thanks for.
I'm going to start the clock, Deputy. I'm starting the clock.
Some members' officers would know.
Deputy, I'm now. Thank you.
But we're going to do our debate.
Resume your seat. Deputy, resume your. Now, please. This is not an interchange. This is not. No. This is not an interchange.
Respect the chair now. Respect the chair.
It's now 10:10. I will absolutely suspend the Dáil if there's no respect shown to the chair. I've asked for caution. I didn't ask for an interplay. I've asked for caution. Out of respect to you, I've stopped. Out of respect, I've stopped the clock, which is a rare. I'm now letting the clock run, and we're going on to the next speaker. And the